pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Allen? Mr. Bruns?
Here.
Okay. Mr. Law?
Here.
Mrs. Sageman? Here. And Mr. Nelson?
Here. Okay, any citizen participation? Seeing none? Any agenda adjustments? Board members, any agenda adjustments? Not Mr. Chairman?
No, we'll just deal with the new hires after the first one.
Okay. Okay, moving on. With us this evening from MASB is Deb Bacon. Deb, introduce yourself.
Yes, I look forward to doing that. Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Deb Macon. I'm a consultant with the Michigan Association of School Boards. And first, I'd like to explain why Bridgeport Spaulding's board has been given the opportunity to have direct support from MASB for its commitment to stronger governance. A handful of districts in the state of Michigan that have been particularly struggling and have been particularly facing challenges have been given an opportunity to be part of what is called the Deficit Partnership Program. And in that program, the initiative looks at the three-leg stool. So let me explain that. When student academic achievement is not where everyone would want, when finances are not as strong as everyone would want, it is also very, very likely that governance at the board table is wobbly. So picture the stool where all of the legs are not on the ground, all of them are not even. Well, here's something that the Michigan Association of School Board has done. Working in direct partnership with the Treasury, working in direct partnership with the Michigan Department of Education, this program is, or this effort, specifically designed for boards to align their commitment to governance with healthy finances, all in support of student academic achievement. So the first part of my opportunity to work with members of the board was Saturday, July 16th. Several weeks before July 16th, a date was selected by this board for a full-day retreat. And the full-day retreat agenda focused on something, a tool in particular, that MASB has experienced with a great number of boards across the state. And it's wonderful that each of you, as board members, participated in the board self-assessment. You've already received those packets, and on Saturday, July 16th, I went through and reviewed the board self-assessment with a very specific purpose. What are the areas of governance that you, as board members, each saw needing being strengthened? What are areas of your own strength? And where could things be better? And we started that conversation on the 16th. Now, prior to that, I also had several conversations with Mr. Chair as well as with Superintendent Selby. So I've been able to get to know the board pretty well. And there were several things that we typically do as consultants. And you know, I jumped in explaining what we were doing. Let me share with you just a little bit about my background. I too have been a school board member. I was elected as a school board member twice, and I actually served for about 6.5 years. And while a school board member, friends in the township where I live asked me to run for the township board, where I served as a trustee for 12 years, being elected in 3 primaries and then in 3 general elections. Now, my academic training is in 2 areas. I am a professional educator, so I love coming into a building already for the students to come back to school. It reminds me of my days in teaching, and I still have a license to teach in the state of Missouri. I'm not living there now, but I love knowing that should I want to, I could. And I also went to graduate school to determine if I would be an accountant. Well, I am, and I did practice for a while, but my passions are in education. I'm very actively involved in the community. I serve on a number of boards, and in my commitment to my own volunteering, I have made board service, board governance, and board structures my passion. It is what I study, and it is what I actually do for fun as well. I've had wonderful opportunities. I serve as the parliamentarian for Michigan PTA, so I really do know a thing or two about meetings, and I get to share that with anyone who is at all interested. So that's just a little bit of a setup. And included in that, in my work, was also a number of years working with a national level consulting firm, specifically working with nonprofits across the country, and the firm was centered in Indianapolis. So fast forward to here to Michigan. Within my first term as a school board member, I had a few ideas about how we as school board members could be prepared for this work. And as a result, I began training other school board members while I was a first-term board member. I figured that my tenure as the youngest master teacher in St. Louis helped me fast forward a little bit. So that's just a little bit about me, and that's what brings me here to this work. So when we spent time together on Saturday, July 16th, there are a number of things that we did, and in a prep conversation with Mr. Chair asked if I would review some of the things that we did, and I look forward to doing that. So we began with an ambitious agenda, and the ambitious agenda includes understanding roles and responsibilities, identifying ground rules that we use to work together on the 16th. We looked at what it means to be a team and looked at characteristics of healthy, strong, and effective teams. And I actually asked the board an important question. When we look at levels of team or group development, where does this board see itself? The choices were, is this board forming, storming, norming, or performing? And I'm confident that many of you have heard that. Well, it actually was the sense of the majority who were present that day that this board is in storming mode. There was robust conversation and robust dialogue. Now, I also will be giving you a copy of the notes, and it's important to take note of the ground rules because each person present agreed to follow these. And the ground rules include stay engaged, actively participate, actively listen, take it personally, speak your mind and your heart, respect others' opinions even if you don't agree. And it's okay to disagree, and it's not okay to be disagreeable, and to be civil. Part of this process is because it is a process. This isn't something that changes overnight. You've had many predecessors as a board, and there are many aspects of board practice or procedure that may have been established long ago. What this opportunity brings is a clear opportunity to change behavior at the board table, to model those aspects of the best in governance that everyone in here would want to see in every classroom in this district. I also asked the question, and what are your hopes as a board? And I think it's important that you hear what these hopes are. Most of you were there when these were identified, but what these speak to, these come from a board that wants to lay the foundation for the best in academic achievement and for the strongest financial future for this school community. Some of the hopes included that we come to consensus so we can move forward, that we agree on how to improve academic and fiscal health, that we put plans in place to be a world-class education system, and that our students here will compete with students all around the world. There are protocols and processes in place, so let's tweak them so they're fine-tuned and produce only the best in outcomes. Let's be more proactive than reactive, so that if certain things happen, there then is a plan for moving forward. And let's move away from crisis mode and begin the reality of moving forward and realize that things will never be the same as they were before. Now, without concerns, or with concern, I'm sorry, I should say it this way, with hopes there are concerns as well. And this is always in my mind as we design systems to move forward. And here is a concern. All of these concern me as well. We have two districts here, one present and one not. Why did some choose to bail? This is a time to make things work. Will those not here participate? Not everyone understands the seriousness of this situation. Some are aware and want their way. And there is a perception that some ways are race-based. And the community perceives that racism exists in the community and at the board table. Another concern is that not everyone will want to move forward. And there's a desire for more information about how to keep things legal and within bounds. And one of the activities that just floored me, and I'll say it this way, each person here introduced themselves, and my job was to listen. What did I hear? Well, let me tell you what I heard. There were key assets shared by each person in the room on Saturday, July 16th. And here are those assets. Let's focus on kids. We're fighters. We will be assertive, do the right thing. We're progressive. We'll move forward. We are trusted leaders and stewards in this community. Purposeful, brave, courageous, and that we will stay at whatever it takes to see that our kids have the best. We are adaptive and organized. Now, at that point, I shared the results, or a portion of the results, of the board self-assessment. This is actually an ongoing process, and there is still much to delve into. As a matter of fact, I'll ask as part of this presentation for the next several dates. So before sharing with you one of the key learnings that comes out of all of the board retreats we lead for MASB, dealing with roles and responsibilities, let me say just a little bit more about my presence. I'm delighted that I am invited to be here today by you. I will be present at all of your business meetings. I will observe the meeting, and I will share results of what I see with the leadership team at MASB. And I'm confident those notes are shared with the Department of Treasury and with the Department of Education. I'm also working on another team on another spot in the state, and do the same. So I'll be here at least twice a month And I look very much forward to doing that. You're just a hop skipping away from me. I'm in Oakland County, so this works out very, very well. One of the key roles, or key aspects, I should say, of our work as consultants and trainers for MASB is making sure every board and their community as well understand what the roles and responsibilities are of board members. And there is a fun metaphor, I think it's a fun metaphor, that we use. And it goes a little bit like this. There are three lanes. The board has one lane all to itself. The superintendent has another lane, in this case, all to herself. And then there is a third lane. Let me give you the names. Members of the board work in the strategic lane. That would be the equivalent of in the airplane flying high, looking down. It is the board's responsibility to have the big picture, not on the ground, the big picture. So the first lane would be strategic. The board is encouraged to ask strategic questions, to think in strategic ways. And there's another fun way those of us who train for MASB share it. It means, as a board member, eyes in, fingers out. Eyes in, fingers out. The second lane is tactical, and that belongs to the superintendent. In that lane, the superintendent carries out the strategic decisions of the board. Every member of staff works in the operational lane, and that is not the lane of the board. Eyes in, fingers out, stay at the strategic lane. Now, as we were exploring this, there were a number of questions that came up. And let me share what some of those questions were. What should be done when others pass on the shoulder? And you know what? I had an answer for that, so I'll go ahead and share that with you now. I think those of you who were there will remember what I said when that question came up. Well, what if someone tries to rush past and pushes past? There's no passing lane in the strategic lane. The board moves all together. There's no pass. And in the front car, in the front of the car, is the board chair. Everyone else is in the car. There is no space to pass. And then another question came up, and that other question said, well, what if someone switches lanes? Well, you know what? There's a name for that. There is a clear name for that. Anyone who switches lanes and chooses to jump from the strategic into tactical, well, they're trying to run the job of the superintendent, or jump into operational. That person, that term would be called micromanaging. Board members stay in their lane and work in a strategic way. Well, another question was, well, what if there's a vehicle such as a tank that takes up all three? Well, that isn't the role of someone in the strategic lane. It would be the right size car, the right size vehicle. So you will, in MASB's training, hear all of us refer to very, very clear roles. We can break it down even much further in terms the board is responsible for vision and advocacy and accountability and structure. Structure in providing the basics. So board, thank you for this beautiful building and seeing that it looks amazing. You didn't clean it yourself. That was the responsibility of oversight of the superintendent, and there were those who knew what was expected of them. So all of these pieces work together. I look forward to continuing to come, and I do have handouts. And you know what? And I know, Madam Superintendent, we said we would give these out, but I detected a couple of typos. May I please, well, wait, let's just be clear. They're people's, okay? So I was typing so quickly, and I would much rather give very crisp copies. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, I will send the file back to you so that it will then be in shape to distribute to the rest of the board. Now with that, we also, my responsibility also included taking what I learned and taking what I heard and taking what was observed and drafted a capacity building plan. What would it take to have the best in governance? You're already working with those who can help lead the best in academic achievement as well as the best in building fiscal health. And our work here with MASB is the governance leg. So there is a draft plan, and it includes 4 components. 1, let's identify at the board level what's working and what's not working and why. 2, let's provide team training that supports effective governance. 3, let's facilitate development of board goals. The goals will come right out of the work at the board, in the board self-assessment, norms, procedures, and what tools. And by tools, we're talking again, what are the unique tools that the board would need to only function on its role. And then a 4th component would be to coach board members as a group and possibly individually as you put new skills and processes in place. And I do have a copy of that plan document. I labeled it a draft as of August 22nd. It is actually going to stay a draft because as new observations come about, we will update the plan so that should any of you say, here is something I would be, that would strengthen my role or strengthen my capacity to serve as a governance leader. My goal is to hear that, and if you say, this is something I'm looking for, my job is to go out there and see what I can do. I would very, very much like to do that. So please consider me supporting you collectively as well as individually. I look forward to meeting those who I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with. Now, 2 more pieces. 1, the executive director of MASB, Mr. Don Retroba, will come and answer any questions that you may have about the deficit district partnership program, as well as help explain and give some additional insight to those things that are happening at the state level. Your team is doing that very, very well, and we discovered that by having Don present with another board in the district, it was quite helpful. So I'll work with Superintendent Selby and Chair Nelson to be able to find a date that would work for his schedule. Now, I'll also ask, and I'll start on this end, Jay, would you please, if you take one. And Superintendent Selby, if I could ask you to lead this part about selecting a date, if you would not mind, would you?
No.
Okay.
So
and
what you're getting right now is a list of some proposed governance workshop training sessions for September through November, and the purpose is, of course, is to build governance capacity. Select a minimum of 1 day per month for those listed below for a 3-hour board training workshop. So for September, we looked at Wednesday, September 7th or 14th. The 21st is on here, but I already know that I'll be out of town on that date, so that would not be
that is correct. It
the
wouldn't
date.
happen without you.
Right. And we're thinking 5:30 to 8:30, or Saturday, September 17th, and I crossed out the 24th because I have another retreat on that day, preferably from 1 to 4. And so I wanted to know what was the board's pleasure on this, and we really would like 100% participation, unlike before, but we know people have lives and all, so hopefully this is enough time for everybody to look at their schedule and to see what date might work better for them. October 24th is already a committee of the whole meeting, and so we're assuming that everybody will be here. And then in November, either the 28th, Monday evening, or the 23rd or 30th, and we were talking about superintendent evaluation training in November. Devin, that was a question.
Yes, yes.
But I guess if we can just jump back to September, and what's the pleasure of the group for September? Either the evening of Wednesday, September 7th or 14th, or Saturday, September 17th, from 1 to 4.
Saturday I'm out of town. I'm available on Wednesday nights.
I'm available on the 7th.
Is the 7th a good night for, that's the day after school starts. Wednesday evening, 5:30 to 8:30. Would that work for everybody else?
It works for me.
I think so.
Teddy?
It's a plan.
Wednesday, September 7th.
And if I can, Mr. Chair, have one more thing to say.
Absolutely.
When we're
Thank you.
asked why governance, what does this have to do with student academic achievement? It has everything to do with student academic achievement. The research tells us that strong capacity for governance and leadership at the board table strengthens academic outcomes. And that will be one more of the things that I will share. There is a great amount of support for just that. So MASB is devoting itself to assuring that its members, its member organizations can clearly be at the top of their game so that Michigan's kids are able to succeed on all fronts. Mr. Chair, with that, thank you very much for the privilege of being here and supporting Bridgeport Spaulding. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you. And we'll wait till later to pick the number.
The board, going back to the November date, you can think about that now because it's right around the holidays. Superintendent evaluation training is mandated by statute. We have to pick a tool and we have to receive training in it. So as you're looking at that, I know that's around the holidays, hunting season, so if none of those will work, then obviously we have to move into another month. But it'd be nice to try and get it done in November. Thank you. All right. Middle school student handbook, Mr. Baker.
Have it in front of me, I didn't realize I was actually talking.
Do you have anything to add based on what you sent out? or-
I changed some names and stuff for, board members and things like that. Mrs. Saban actually called me today and actually had a good suggestion after she read through it. And I ended up changing something else, and it was just a title change of one of the headings, just to clarify. And it's on page 4, and I changed it to, instead of saying lunch schedule, I changed it to say class, period, and lunch schedule. And then the major changes in the actual content was we changed the promotion and how we would promote students to encourage students to perform better on state and local assessments. We use that as part of our promotion policy, that students could be promoted based on their efforts and based on their proficiency on state assessments and local assessments as well. And also, we changed the tardy policy. The tardy policy was very long, complex, and convoluted. And basically, by changing the tardy policy, we're encouraging teachers to have more interaction with those students, to get kids to class on time, to communicate with parents. In addition, to not be so restrictive, so we actually keep kids in school. The old tardy policy states that, you know, after so many tardies, we're going to be suspended from school, which is kind of defeats the purpose. We want the kids in school as much as possible. So with the new tardy policy, we eliminate some of the suspensions that would happen if two students were chronically tardy, and the promotion policy, as I explained earlier. Those are the two major changes. Everything else, pretty much standard from the last 5-6 years.
I have a question.
Yes.
Last month, we talked about, a little bit about grades, and it was brought up that to hold someone back was kind of a hard thing to do, whether they were passing or not. This promotion is new. Does this have any teeth to it? Are we able to
Yes.
hold those children back that aren't passing?
I've retained a number of students in the last 4 or 5 years since we implemented the promotion policy the first time, which I brought it to the board. 4 or 5 years ago, I brought a promotion policy to the board. I've upheld that promotion policy all along the way. We put in securities to help the students pass. Say, for example, summer school. Summer school is for students that are potentially going to be retained. You come to summer school, you complete the laid out coursework for you. If you complete that coursework to an acceptable fashion, you are then granted that credit and you're promoted. Same thing throughout the school year with like after school work and things like that. Parents are communicated all throughout the year. After the very first marking period, when students fail a class, I send them a letter. I call the parents and let them know, hey, your child failed this class. They're in trouble. They need to pass all their classes. Your child can earn this credit back by doing this extra work outside of their regular school day. So every year, Bridgeport Middle School does retain a few students. It's usually about 3 or 4 students per grade level.
And then another thing, I see that some of the stuff for credit recoveries and so forth, it says it's fee-based.
I have put that in there, but I haven't charged fees in years.
Okay.
It was about 3 years ago. I had to charge a fee for like summer school. Since with Mrs. Selby and Regina, they found a way to, and
We use at-risk
Melissa,
funding.
they
Pardon me?
used that.
We use at-risk funding, and once we use at-risk funding, we can't.
But
So we
prior,
have monies to do that.
Well, that was my concern. If we have a child who's failing, he needs
Use at-risk
credit
funding.
recovery, and it's fee-based, and he doesn't have any money, what is he gonna do?
We didn't charge anything this summer, right, Steve?
no,
Because we had at-risk
for
funding.
the last 2 years, I have not charged. But prior to that, I had to charge for summer school, just like the high school did. But since with Mrs. Kameen and Mrs. Selby and Mrs. Silby, they've managed to figure out a way to do it through 31A. Therefore, I have not had to charge anyone in the last couple of years, and I certainly hope that that continues. I put it in there just as my little security blanket, just in case something does happen. I have to charge someone for something, but it hasn't happened in a number of years, and I think based on that conversation, I think I'm good this year too.
Have you tried in-house suspension rather than keep them at home?
Oh, we have some in school suspension. I worked with Mrs. Selby about halfway through last year to get us to able to set some of that up. So we've done some in school suspension as well.
Yeah, because a lot of these kids that are tardy, it's usually, isn't it the ones that their parents drive them and their parents get them there late or not?
No, usually it's I'm late for the middle of the day classes. So I'm too busy socializing with my friends out in the hallway to get to class in time. Whenever I contact parents, they're always really supportive. So we've done some in-school suspension. We do a lot of lunch detention stuff for tardies as well. But by taking this out of the handbook, I just eliminate the whole language for suspension. So the way it was worded before, it was so restrictive that, after 4 referrals, I'm suspending you. I don't want to have to go ahead and count that. Me personally as the administrator, I just don't want to deal with that. And I want to be able to say that the handbook reflects actual policy and actual action.
What time period is that? Is it a marking period, or is it reset, or is it for the whole year? The tardy policy.
The tardy, it's there's a student can get 2 tardies in a 2-week period. That's their grace period. So every 2 weeks it resets per class. So everyone gets late to a class. They have locker issues. They're using the restrooms or something like that. So we don't ding kids for that. But the chronic ones that are just out, talking with their friends and running down the hallway and things like that. So we've done pretty good at trying to clear the hallways, get the kids to class on time, using hall monitors and things like that, using my staff. My staff they're all on hall duty. They stand in their doorways, just keep kids moving, keep traffic flowing. That's helped out a lot.
I found a couple of areas that weren't clear to me, but I'm sure they're clear to you. Clarify for me. Under the electronic devices, when I'm reading through that,
Can you tell me what page is that?
on page 14,
Okay.
when I'm reading through that, I'm reading that they're not allowed, but then as I read through that, I'm reading that if they are there, it's kind of like, I think what you're saying is, they're gonna be there. And I just was thinking in the wording of it, and I don't want to just nitpick, but it seems like if you're saying electronic items cannot be brought to school, but you know they're going to be brought to school, then maybe you could use the word should not be brought to school, and maybe in the next phrase say and cannot be used. Now that's just, everybody writes differently, so that's just what I saw there. And then on another page,
I can take a look at that and
Yeah.
edit so I can see if I can make it a little clearer.
on page 25, under visitors, number 3, with parents wishing to observe classrooms, must have approval of the administrator. Visits will be limited to 2 per semester. And that's fine. I'm sure probably a lot of parents don't even do that. But to me, I take it like I can only come for 2 times. So for a parent that may want to come, but they read through the rule as I can't come, but only 2 times, I thought that could be softened a little bit, maybe if we said unless otherwise approved by administrators, so that people don't think
That's a
that
good
that's
addition.
just-
And I'll tell you, I've never limited the parents to 2 visits.
I know you don't.
But that is a good addition. Honestly, that was in the handbook when I first started this job, and I think it was in all the handbooks. So I like that, because I let the parents come in. And my teachers don't care either. Teachers
I
welcome
know.
the parents all the time.
But it's always that one parent that reads things and they take it as it is stated.
I will add, unless approved by the administrator. No problem.
Teddy, can I just add a little history there? That's pretty standard that's a pretty standard clause in most student handbooks, and it's really there for the protection of the student and the teacher. So I'll give you an example of how it could really upset the classroom environment. Years ago, I had a parent who took issue with the teacher. I mean, it was determined later that the issues really weren't legitimate. But, so what she started doing was she sent her grandmother, every day, and I mean literally every day. And this is a student who was a pretty good student, but they took issue with the teacher. And so the grandparent would come every day, sit in the classroom, and stare down the teacher. Stare the teacher down, intimidating the teacher, which upset the entire classroom environment. It upset the students because they didn't know why this person was there, and it upset the teacher. So, you know, we had to put a stop to it. And one side, and we had the policy was in the handbook, but we were relaxed and let her do that until it became a problem. And so it doesn't always have to become a problem, but it's pretty standard, just in case an issue does come up. But the principal always has the flexibility to relax that rule.
Should I add then in there, unless,
I would say yes.
I think that covers it
Because
both ways.
they can talk to the principal if they need to be in longer. The other issue, when a parent wants to come and sit in the room all day, then they very often start paying attention to other students in the classroom, and then it's an issue of privacy for the particular student when they should be observing maybe their student and what's happening between their student and the teacher. But the principal always has the flexibility to relax that rule.
And generally, I haven't had a problem with parents coming in. There's been a few parents that
And
I've just asked to leave.
I figured
So.
you handled that. I was just thinking, we're trying to get parents in the schools. It's a real problem. And some people take that negatively, just to see a written that, even though that's not the way to enforce it.
I understand what you're saying, and I like the addition, so I can make that addition.
Any other questions or recommendations from this board? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve
Some of
the middle school handbook with the recommended changes? Support. Motion and support, any other discussion? Hearing none, Robin?
Mr. Grimes?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Morris?
yes.
Mrs. Sageman? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
And Mr. Nelson?
Yes. Okay, Personnel Committee, Mr. Allen, did you have any specific?
I'm going to refer to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. And so I'm going to really combine this item and the next item together, because in the Personnel Committee, we talked about the contracting with the ISD to hire the special ed coordinator. And we really talked about this at the last meeting, and we approved the contract for the special ed rooms, but we didn't approve the contract for the special ed coordinator. And again, we would be paying 75%, we would be paying the ISD 75% of their salary, and they would give us a grace of 25% because that would go towards, they would be also coordinating the special ed program that they're bringing in. We have 2 middle school hires, and this wasn't, we didn't talk about this at the committee meeting, but we did mention that because we have a couple of weeks left of school and several vacancies, that between now and the end of school, there would be some recommendations for hiring. So we have 2 now for the middle school. Michael Paul, which subject is 25?
Mathematics.
Math, and Gina McLeod.
Another mathematics.
One of them is going to be doing math and another subject. And then, the last thing we talked about personnel was, and Jeff, you might want to clarify this for me, if we're bringing in subs. We're short-staffed at Atkins right now. And we need to, get that taken care of, and just clarify for us what we're talking about for those positions at Atkins.
So we have 3 positions that are open, and at the present time, I don't believe you want us to post them to fill them, so we're looking for 3 subs to come in for a future discussion, I believe. That's how
Yes.
this ended, about what to do with custodial stuff.
2 or 3?
There'll be 3.
Okay. And 2 of them might be people that are already,
2 or
maybe,
2 could probably be posted. The one has to be sub.
Do we know of any former students that may have worked with you in the past that might,
No, a couple
qualified?
years back, we had a couple programs that came in and used some students from the area for summer work, but they were still in school, so they're not in a job position. Steve had a parent last year that, I guess lost his job towards the end of the spring, and, I just had him come in and fill out paperwork. Steve recommends him. I've spoke with him, I think it'd be a good fit as one position. I still need 2 others to fill.
if we know of one, can we refer them to you? Or you're
Well-
not doing that, like that?
I think we're just gonna post it.
Okay, it's still.
Because if we posted the 2 positions right now,
Mhm.
2 of our custodians that are on 4 hours will move up, moving to those positions, but we're not ready to post them at the present time, so. I just want to fill it differently than it was done last year, so they're actually permanently in there. And I do have a guy that's been with the district for 20+ years, I can stick him in there, but right now he's acting as grounds because our grounds guy resigned, well, retired, in July, so. He's been kind of stuck in that position. I kind of hate to pull him out of there, but we may have to do it.
So you're just gonna sub these positions at Atkinson?
As of right now, that was the
Temporary.
recommendation.
Huh?
temporarily. So the recommendations for hire, for sure, is the special ed, well, contracting.
Let's
We'll do that separately, okay.
Let's do it
So we're
that way.
not gonna replace one permanently that retired?
Right now, it was recommended we hold.
Huh?
Right now, it's been recommended that we hold back for a future discussion.
From the finance committee, right?
Yeah.
Finance committee has discussed it, right now.
So we have 2 middle school hires that we definitely would like to recommend.
The finance committee what?
The finance committee wants to go back and revisit the whole plan. So I guess when we meet together again, we're gonna kind of revisit it. And I think, one of the issues we have to talk about, what are we gonna do for the future? Because one of the issues will be, how are we gonna get out of debt and what are we gonna do? And the treasury now is really nitpicking a lot. So we wanna really have a plan together on what we're gonna do. So I think what we did this summer, we're gonna have to talk about, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do what we did? Are we gonna go back and fill them? And what are we gonna do in the future? And I think we need to have a plan.
And that's gonna come up more during the Building and
Yeah.
Grounds Committee,
I'll
report.
cover that, and
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Brother Long,
Hang on there, but let's get back on track here real quick. We
Yes.
got off track. That's not on the agenda at this point. What we have in front of us are the 2 new hires for the middle school, so we could address that, please. So what we have is a request from Mr. Baker to hire Michael Paul and Gina McLeod as math teachers at the middle school.
I move that we make those hires.
We have a motion, is there support?
Support.
Any other discussion?
You gonna put them together? What was that, or you-
I can separate them if you'd like. If not, it came to us in one, so.
They're both now?
That's what he indicated.
Different grades,
Huh?
different grades.
Well, I was gonna say, did we lose that many math teachers this summer?
Mr. Baker?
The classes that the teachers are teaching, one is gonna teach 8th grade math, and then the other teacher is gonna do an 8th grade math intervention class. So they're going to support the math curriculum in an alternative way, like doing centers and stuff and working with a lot more manipulatives and stuff to support math. Our math scores, as you know, need some help. So this is one of the ways that I decided that we could best serve our kids. I have an open position. The second math class is going to take the place of an elective type course. So the kids are going to do extra math work. So the 8th grade students will have 2 hours of math a day.
Those that aren't doing that well.
Every student is
Every
going
student?
to do math 2 hours a day.
Oh.
We need help, and that's how we're going to get it.
Anything else?
Good job.
Thanks.
Robert, call the motion.
You ready for the roll call?
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Morris,
Yes.
Mrs. Sageman,
Yes,
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bruns,
Yes.
and Mr. Huss.
Yes. Now we'll move on to the special education supervisor contract.
Can I just add one thing? I know that Mr. Legato here at the high school was doing some interviewing today, so he'll probably have a recommendation that he'll be sending in the next couple of days. We won't have another meeting before then, but I will send that information to you. We want to start the school year with 100% staffing if we can, so hopefully you all agree with that.
Great.
Yes.
it's too hard on a kid if they have to
Yes.
start out that year with subs.
I agree. I agree. So the next item on the agenda is the special ed supervisor contract approval. And again, this is subcontracting with ISD. And if you have any questions or concerns about that, I'd be happy to entertain them. But I know we talked about this a lot last month. I just realized I didn't have a contract with us at the last meeting.
And what is their actual salary before it's split up?
Before it's split up, it's over 100. It's over 100,000 before it's split up.
Before we
For
pay
the salary?
75% of it.
Well, it's salary benefits.
Salary benefits.
That's what I meant, the whole
Right,
thing.
the whole
Yeah.
All the employee
Right.
retirement, all the employee.
Yes. Yes, and we're only gonna pay 75% of that.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Make that motion, hire special ed director.
Contract with the ISD.
Contract, yeah, we're not
Contract
hiring, we're
with the ISD.
contracting, yes.
Support?
Support.
Any other discussion? Okay, Robin?
Mrs. Morris,
Yes.
Mrs. Sageman,
Yes,
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bruns,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
and Mr. Huss.
Yes. Okay, Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mr. Long.
Okay, we did meet, we had two agenda items. One we already kind of started to discuss. At that meeting, we did make a recommendation to stay with the GRSB, I believe it was, but I made it pretty clear that we wanted to make sure we had the figures strong. I think my wording was that Pete needed to come to the whole strong and make sure these numbers were accurate. Since then, we found out it wouldn't be cost effective, so we are not making that recommendation tonight, but we do need to seriously look at that possibility again in the future. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows we probably are gonna have to look at that. But we need to start the year with, the building's clean now, we need to keep it there. So we're going to move with that in that direction that we discussed a little bit earlier.
Can I just add something, Mr. Long, just so everybody's clear? So the recommendation that was coming from the committee, it is not now, was to outsource one building, Atkins, for custodial. So that was the recommendation. And we're pulling the recommendation because we got more data. Pete crunched some more of the numbers and found out that it would not be cost effective. In fact, it would cost us more to outsource one building in the district. However, and this is not a recommendation at this point or on the table, but it is something that we need to really think about. If we do intend on getting out of deficit in a timely manner, it would be cost effective for us to outsource our custodial for the entire district. Now we're talking about 300,000 in that ballpark, but before we come back to the table and make that recommendation, Mr. Vasili would be happy to come back and bring all the figures, updated the bids and all of that. But so that was the recommendation for one building, which is not going to be cost effective. We would save thousands of dollars if we did it district-wide, but we're holding on that recommendation at this point until we can bring you more information.
And that was very true. I mean, we need to look at it and in the future, so that's something we are going to have to revisit. So that was the one item. The other item we looked at was a fundraiser for the athletic department. We discussed this 3.5 years ago, maybe, about selling to business signs to put at our athletic fields and athletic events. The material that we're going to use, and you can help me, but this might look a little bit funny, but somebody might understand why, but this is the first one. And this will go on our fences at the football field. A1 Signs, which is in Spaulding Township, makes these. It's going to be a really good fundraiser for us. When the football season gets done, as we discussed our recommendation coming out, it will go into the gymnasium for basketball season. It can be up for volleyball, it can go out on baseball, track, throughout the whole season. So our recommendation coming out, these are going to cost $125. We're going to sell them for $300 for the season. So if you think about it, just this one sign right here, which is the first one, I'm kind of a little partial to this one. We're actually probably going to do 2 of them.
I wonder why.
But he got this done pretty quick, because I just got him the artwork, I think Friday, and I told him Kenya, and he was very busy, but he did get this done.
Very heavy material.
It's,
It's weather resistant.
oh yeah, we'll put that down. So, what, this is actually material. That's a piece of it. So again, $125 we pay the sign man. We sell them for $300 for the athletic year. It's a win-win because businesses really do want to get involved with the schools. I didn't hesitate at all. I'm actually, when I saw the other artwork that he has for the restaurant, because when you drive by there, the first thing you see is the TA. You don't really see the restaurant, although a lot of you came to the restaurant. So I looked at the artwork for the restaurant and I told him, I'm about 90% sure that we'll do that one too. So there's 2 of them. $175 probably buys easily 6 cases of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Easily, maybe more.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, general fund, a lot of money comes out of the general fund for
No, not for you.
athletics.
You said athletics.
No. A lot of that money though comes out of the athletic
You gonna
fund,
have paper coming.
comes out of the general fund, right?
Yes.
We could use this money for that to help supply other things. I think businesses will buy into this. So it's a win for me as a businessman out there because we want to support the school. The other win is we're going to save some money for the school. But a bigger win yet is, and I talked to 2 of the coaches.
Yes, and I was hoping they're getting ready for the big game.
So we're going to have the coaches nominate some of their better athletes to be able to go out and sell these to the local businesses. So it's a win for the student too, because that's an education. And I'm kind of passionate about this because I do want to meet with these kids and the coaches so they understand this program inside and out, so they can go out and sell it, and when they're talking to a businessman, they're not looking like a deer in the headlights. They'll understand what they got to do. They'll be able to follow the whole process through. Now, what I envision when this is done, and that's up on the fence, somebody, the coach, somebody takes a picture of that. And we print it off at Rite Aid or wherever. We also give an athletic pass to the business that did that. So they can come in, and if they want to come into a football game, a basketball game, they get a pass to come in and see. We want them bodies in our athletic events. So if we give that to them. So once that's done, we have a letter on letterhead with all the coaches signing it and all the athletes signing it, thanking that business. They put a picture to it, they take the pass. When it's all done, they take it back and they shake the person's hand and say, thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate it. Here's a pass to come to our athletic events. Hopefully we can even give them a schedule. So I think this is definitely nothing but a win. I've been trying to reach, I don't remember what her name is, but she's with Sports Creek. They sell their scoreboard for thousands of dollars. This is $175 to the school for each sign. I don't think it would be hard if you just think about Bridgeport to sell 10 of them things fairly quick. And when I picked that up today, I said, are you ready to go? Because I'm hoping we're going to flood you. And that's what I would like to see. So it's a win-win situation. I did talk to Ed. It's A1 Vinyl Signs. He's right down around the corner out from me in Spaulding Township. The only thing he requires or really suggests is don't send him the artwork that you sent.
Oh, he didn't like that.
No, he says this drives me crazy. He wants, and I'm not, an AI file, EPS file, or PDF. He doesn't like JPEG.
Oh, okay.
JPEG makes it really hard for his program, but when he was showing me how he did that, it only took him like 3 minutes
Yeah,
to
some of them
do it on his
you can
computer.
convert to
So
PDF.
these were the 3 forms that he would like. And he said that he would prefer, like if we sell it, the business just emails him the form right to him, you know, the file, and then he does it. But I think this is something that I wanted to do some years ago. I don't see any downside to it. It's our recommendation to go ahead and do this. He also made this. I'm a Michigan football fan. And if you are, you always be quiet, Sparty. When they come out, what do they reach up and they hit? Okay, so he did this for us. So we have it for Friday's game, right? So, and I think this turned out really good. So we can have the cheerleaders hold that out. There's a pocket in each one, and then they can hold that out, and the kids can come out and jump up and slap it, and not rip it down.
Right.
Just slap it. It'd be nice to see all the cheerleaders, and how I have it envisioned is even if you have the 9th grade team, they have a 9th grade team. Freshmen, I don't know. But we have them out there, because they're not playing at the same time, and there's everybody supporting them. But I envisioned this a long time ago, and I think that turned out really good. And so he made this, and he said, I picked this up yesterday, and he didn't have that sign ready, and I was like, I really wanted to have the sign. And he called me on the way home today from work and said, I got it.
That's increased.
Are we gonna have cheerleaders this year?
I know someone asked about, heading the cheerleaders.
Huh?
And I know someone has asked about, coordinating the cheerleaders, and I haven't talked about it with them.
Because last year we ended up with, the cheerleaders walked off the homecoming game and there was never any more.
Pat, I have one question, and I'm excited about this. I did too. And the signs look good quality. But I'm throwing this out here because, maybe somebody has more information. It seems a few years ago, a long time ago, I think they did something similar to this in Saginaw Township. We were talking about it. Does anybody know? And the concern was, there was a concern about it. and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think I've seen where the concern that comes up about this is, what do you want to be advertising specifically in a school, around the school? And so it's not, you know what I'm saying, you do have to have some, I guess, boundaries.
And we discussed that.
Yes, we did.
The one thing that just popped up in my head when you said the township, I don't think about it around here, but I really wouldn't want to have whatever that thing is out there, Bay Road.
Oh, yeah.
You know
That's
what
in
it is.
That's
Whatever, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do liquor stores.
what the problem was, not letting bars,
So
they didn't want
that's,
bars to.
that's the things we don't want to do.
So you have discussed that, because
We
it
did
can't be
discuss
just
that.
any business.
Right.
And then, liquors or cigarettes or things like that.
Liquor king?
Liquor King?
Yeah, don't want to do liquor king. Don't want to do.
I think that was the objection, I couldn't quite remember.
But I went by Valley Lutheran, and when you drive by there, I think it's the baseball field you can see. Myers does their scoreboard underneath that. Now that's 2x8, those come in 4x8 sheets. We can do the billboard, or not the billboard, the scoreboard, and get quite a bit more money. But right now,
We could
this
get a
thing,
big sponsor.
this thing was so fast that I just focused on that size and let's get some up. So he's making one for his business, and then I got another one for the restaurant, and then this one.
What other marketing are you gonna use besides students, just going business to business?
It's gonna have to, because I can't do it. It's gonna have to be, the coaches are gonna have to pick, and when we talk to, I don't remember his name, the football coach. Coach Marshall, when I asked him that, he said, no, not all of them, but there's probably, I think he said maybe 5 or 6 of them that he would definitely say, these would be
But you
the
wanna
ones.
handpick them.
Right, I want to talk to the coaches, I want them to handpick and have the students that they think can articulate this really well. And I would like to have a meeting with them, along with the coaches, and then, once they understand what the program is and how it works, and we have to come up with, okay, now we have this, we gotta have an invoice for it. And then the follow-up has to be there to keep it going down the road.
Renewable annually, right?
Yes. But I mean, the quality of that sign is, I think, excellent.
It's a nice contract.
And I just think it's a win-win for the students, to get some kind of business experience. And it's a good fundraiser, and if it's followed through and done correctly, it's a no-brainer in my opinion.
So, are we gonna have some parameters then on some kind of draft of a contract? We are soliciting, we are not soliciting.
We have to work that all out.
Okay,
I say this, I don't even remember when we met, but it wasn't that long ago.
okay.
When did we meet with this? Was it last week?
Yeah,
It's,
last Thursday, not this past Thursday.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, because last week I was on vacation, so.
I know my question. Okay, this year, the cost of the sign, again, is how much?
The truck stop's gonna pay is $300.
$300.
We pay the sign man $125 for that. We get $175 for
So
that.
next year, that's what my question is, next year, will we use the same sign?
If it's still in good condition, which hopefully it would be.
But it might not be, you might
And if
need
it's
a new
not,
sign.
it's still, the worst case scenario would be another $175. Or they might want to change the artwork on it.
Right.
That brings up a question Robin asked, so when the company comes to us, then we have to go to the sign company to have it made.
What I did is, I just sent him the artwork. I don't remember what form, I just emailed it to him. And then he came up with the Go Bearcats Team Fight for Victory, and he did everything else in the color scheme. I looked at it today, he called me at 4:45 today.
But you're on the board, anybody that's not connected with the school district what would they have to do?
Okay, I kind of sell to you. You say, yes, you would like to do this. We explain the whole program to you. We just say, okay, here's a business card with Ed. It says A1 vinyl signs, charter.net, I believe is what it is. And they just send him the artwork.
So you're gonna head that up, so you have to,
I'm gonna head it up in the beginning, working
so
with the
somebody's gonna
coaches.
have to
Right.
approve whoever comes.
I will start it in
So
the
we'll-
beginning, but I won't be able to keep doing it going forward.
Okay, so
The
finance.
coaches are going to have to.
Yeah.
That's why I said I wanna
somebody's
meet
gonna-
with,
okay.
I wanna meet with the
Okay.
students that are recommended, and I wanna meet with the coaches, so they understand that thing without even thinking about it.
The
Okay.
coaches will have to get on board because
Yeah, they
it's
will.
going in the athletic association
Right,
budget, so.
okay.
Yes.
They're-
And
they're
So
gonna
we
have
know
to do
who is
the-
in control.
Coach Marshall
Right.
knows about it, he seems to be excited about, he and his students seem to be excited about it, and they know the more they sell, although they're gonna have some parameters, they're just not gonna sell to everyone.
Right, because what
The
would keep
more
a
it
kid
will
from
benefit-
going to Liquor King is.
Right, you know, they
Well,
already
that
know
all
we
work-
would not
work-
Okay,
sell to
okay,
those.
So it's like any other fundraiser, the coach has to take responsibility.
Okay.
If I'm a coach and I order 5,000 candy bars, I'm responsible for making sure
okay.
that
Okay.
money comes back
And
into
the
those
business
sales of
owner
the candy bars.
signs off.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Business owner
sign
signs
that.
off.
We need to do something about getting that athletic association perked back up so that,
Okay, let's finish this for Mr. Long first,
And then-
we can talk about that in comments.
Like right now, when I went and picked this up, I said, what about the other artwork I gave you? He says, I got it on my computer. We went inside, looked at it, and it is gorgeous, but I didn't like what he had. He just said, go team. And I said, no, I want, go Bearcat team. I want that on there. He says, I'll click that thing and email it to you. So he's emailing to me, I approve it, and if it's anything like that, he'll have another sign ready to go. So once then, I get the approval and the sign, we gotta find a way to pick them up. I mean, I could pick them up and bring them to the school, it's just around the corner from me. Not that I really wanna do it, but it's not that big of a deal. And then we put it up, we get our payment, and then they take that picture back, and thank you, and the season pass for the season. So that was our recommendation. We were moving forward tonight.
You're very obviously passionate about this, you've been about it for a while. Thanks for all your work on this. So let's, is there a motion support of this initiative?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion, support. Any other discussion? Rob?
Mrs. Sageman,
yes,
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Bruns,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
and Mrs. Morris.
Yes.
Okay, board and superintendent comments?
Good.
You all set? Ms. Brown? Ms. Sager, you want to talk about the athletic, bring up that
huh?
topic now? Do you want to talk about the athletic association?
Well, we really, like I said, we really need to get them going because there's a lot of fundraisers and stuff that need to be done. And the concession stand, I mean, last year, they ended up having the National Honor Society kids do it, but then it doesn't go back into the athletics for the team. So, and I'm also working on homecoming projects too. Say a little prayer that we get Anderson or McNally Foundation. I'm trying to get bumper stickers that say Bridgeport alumni, and I'm trying to get more of the alumni involved in the parade. I have Jane Bowden's class list for 1964, and I have my daughter designing an invitation, which I will send out, and I will pay for the invitations to invite her whole class to come and be part of that parade. And I've also volunteered to do a trophy for the alumni, if we can get the alumni classes getting trophies or floats in the parade.
Kind of a float contest.
Yeah,
He can-
trying to get more people to let, what,
He can make bumper stickers.
huh, Kenny?
He can make bumper stickers.
Ask him his price, because I got a price from, what's her name, Mary Bovee, a former teacher, is at Lightning, Press. And she graduated with June, so that's why I asked her, because I didn't know who else to ask. So,
Anything else?
thank you very much for coming and updating. I was like, boy, you really did a lot. You did, so that was great. I'm still very concerned about having parents and as well as students engaged with our schools. And I was going to ask you, I'm not sure if this had too much to do with the handbook, but do you have a problem when you're trying, so much of what needs to be done in regards to follow up with things that we are doing with the handbook have to be a communication home. Do you have issues with having the correct phone numbers or addresses, or is that a problem?
Phone numbers change all the time. If I can't get a hold of someone with the primary number, the backup number, grandma and grandpa's number, aunt and uncle's number, sometimes I go through and none of them are active. Generally, I have middle schoolers, so I call them in my office and say, what's your phone number? And they give it to me. And then when I actually get a hold of someone, I just change it in the computer right away.
What is the process when school starts? They have to fill out a card, is it like that, like in the old days?
They come in, we ask people to review their information. We usually print off their information for them, and we ask them to review their information and make any corrections. So if they move, if they have a change of phone number, if they have a change of contact, like emergency contact, because maybe aunt and uncle moved out of state, so now they're no longer their contact, maybe now it's a neighbor or something like that. So we ask them to update their information. We print out what's already in the computer for them, and then we ask them to update it.
Okay, that sounds like
I think there's 8 slots under emergency. There's room for 8.
And some people have 8, and some people have 2, 1.
Sometimes all
so
8
it's
are
not a
just
bad
there.
issue. I was just thinking of when I was teaching at Arthur Hill, it was an awful problem.
You know what? It's, if I call 10 numbers, one of them is usually not right, but I'm just pretty diligent about finding the right one. I mean, so, and I constantly update those numbers, so whenever I find one that's not working,
So
whenever one of my teachers finds one, if my teacher calls numbers and sends out an email to myself, my secretaries, so-and-so's number's not operational, but this is the correct number, and we make sure that we update those constantly. And we want to update them constantly, one, so we can make a person-to-person phone call, but also because whatever's in the computer, in the Skyward system, automatically updates to the instant messenger program every night at midnight. So to make sure that our electronic communications are up to date as well, we make sure that those phone numbers
that
are
data has
accurate.
to be updated.
Every once in a while, you get someone that calls into the school and asks to talk to me and tells me that, you know, they keep on getting these messages from the school, but they don't have any kids to go here. So then I have to go into the computer, search the phone number and delete that phone number from someone because they keep on getting messages from the school. It's not the
But
right
that
number.
probably does help that become more current because you have that data system now.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, that makes sense, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
one of our new hires is here in the room, Ms.
Oh.
McClung.
Hi, and welcome.
Good, thank you.
All right, well, Mr. Long, thank you again. That is really, I'm impressed with the material, the quality of the material. It should last a while.
The only thing he's not gonna do is he's not gonna put those grommets in the next ones. He's just gonna drill a hole. He said he had a real struggle getting those done. So he said, well, I'll just drill holes.
Okay. That's
Okay,
very nice.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, thank you again for coming. Looking forward to working with you some more. It'll be very valuable. Getting through May this year, and hopefully really into our strategic planning phase. And welcome to the new hires. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Baker, for your work on the manual. Should be helpful. Your work on that stuff. I'm all set.
Okay, I'm gonna pass out my superintendent update. And I'm not gonna go over all of this, but I just wanna highlight that we are doing a lot of marketing, something that's not been done in the past, much for Bridgeport. And so in my report, I talk about newly produced
TV commercial, which if you watch any of the Olympics, I understand that it played a lot during the 2016 Rio Olympics, but it will be airing other times throughout the year. Again, under marketing, we have been attending, district administrators have been setting up a table at the Friday Night Live events, and the last one was the big Motown night this past Friday. Thousands, hundreds, a lot of people. And we got a chance to talk to a lot of kids and a lot of families, passed out a lot of our little flyers. And you know, the whole goal is getting our name out there more. Bridgeport, we are in the game. And just to continue in our marketing efforts, a team of us will be meeting this Wednesday with a webpage designer to update our webpage, get that updated and new and improved. And then the last big thing that I wanted to highlight, and there's other things on this list, but our first football game for this year is on Friday. It's a home game against Valley Lutheran, and we hope that everyone will be able to come out and cheer on the team. Coach Marshall has been doing an awesome job. He is one of the district's biggest cheerleaders. He's done so much with the kids, and we in fact have parents walking in off the street, bringing their kids to the district because they want their child to be coached under Kevin Marshall. He's just doing an awesome job. So we want to be supportive of him as possible. And I'm passing out season passes, your name's on them, and I think I have them in order, so the first one is yours. And just pass them down. For, this is athletics, admit one only, to any of the Tri-Valley events that will be occurring this year. This is only good for this year. They're red this year. And so we invite you to come out and support our home team. And I think that's all that I have. Of course, we welcome our staff back on Monday, the 29th, from 8 to 11. And the board is welcome if you have time to come and join us. The board president, if no one else, always pops in and gives a little brief welcome to all the staff. And all the board members are welcome to attend.
What day?
That's Monday, the 29th.
At 8?
Yes. And we're gonna have an awesome speaker, nationally renowned speaker, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, whose specialty is transforming school culture. In fact, he wrote a book on the same name.
Are we doing anything special for Al?
Perhaps. I mean, it's just generally been discussed, and nothing specific has been talked about at this time.
There's some discussions going on right now among the
I'll
staff.
tell you, it's gonna be hard replacing that guy.
Yes, we're already finding that out. Yeah, there's been some discussions, and I'll bring more information to you in the next month or so about some of the things that we're talking about.
We're referring to as Mr. Feldman, our athletic director, retiring after 15 years of service to the school district. Pretty amazing.
He's not the only one we're gonna lose either.
Well, it is what it is, and we'll be fine. Our new phone system goes live tomorrow. Yes?
They all,
That's what they say.
We'll always call it.
We'll keep ourselves on the run just in case. I'm sure there'll be a few glitches here and there, there always are. But we're looking forward to the new phone system, and that's another way for our parents and members of the community to be able to reach us effectively. And I think that's all I have, unless we have any questions.
I do want to touch on something that's on Selma's list, that's the SRO. We did meet with the SRO. I'm glad we did because of all of the rumors around the state. They don't have a very good reputation. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it not. But Natasha Baker, the director of the SRO, was here point of visiting with Bridgeport and all of the schools that are under the SRO is to make sure that everybody understands what the SRO's authority is and what can happen if low-performing schools are not turned around. And in our case, we believe that the high school will come out this year. We think we've got all of the requirements. It's not just about the academic scores. There's other requirements that have to be met for the school to come out to priority list. That said, Atkins is now the focus. And it's very, very important that we put resources in that building to help those kids that are struggling and get those scores up. So when the list comes out in early September, Atkins will still be on it. It will not account for the 15, 16 scores yet. But remember, as you're reading about what's going on, and they visited Saginaw, their outcome was not as positive as ours. But we are entering the third year of our transformation plan, our turnaround plan. So our teachers have been doing what they're supposed to be doing. Our hope is that we'll start seeing that reflected in the test scores. And so there isn't any immediate threat to Bridgeport to close Atkins or to take it over or anything like that. There are districts with schools that are in much more need than ours, that have been in priority much longer than ours. Schools that have been priority for more than 10 years. And so just as you're reading, if you read on MLive or anything, we think the meeting went very well, that it was positive, and we'll get the assistance that we need. We've got the right people in place to get that building turned around. So, and as Mr. Regalo pointed out, Atkins isn't just an issue for the people at Atkins, it's an issue for him here at high school. It's a district-wide issue, so everybody has to look at it from that point of view. We're all in this together. So I believe with everybody we have in place, we have a great management team, I think that'll make a difference. So I didn't want to bring that up in case you
Remember that failure is not an option.
It's not an option.
And we know what we have to do. So the meeting was a reminder that do not forget that we have some work to do to help our students achieve academic success. And we have a new principal, Mr. Chapman, and he knows the mission and he knows the urgency, and that's the key word, the urgency and what we have to do. And I think he's up for the charge, and he will be making sure and talking with his staff that they understand the urgency of the situation, what we have to do. And I think our teachers are up for it. We have great teachers. We have great teachers.
All right, nothing else? We are adjourned.
Jeff?